Hello, welcome to another episode of Constitutionalist Podcast. I am your host, Joseph M. Leonard. That's L-E-N-A-R-D. It looks French. It's not. It's Leonard without an O. Thank you for tuning in. As Graham Norton used to say on his show, let's get on with the show! Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Constitutionalist Politics. I am Joseph M. Leonard. Joining me today is Michaela Cox, and she's involved with a project, a series. She's also a TEDx speaker. We the people are, ? But before we get to any of that, let's do the quintessential first question. Who the hell is Michaela, right? Where were you born? Where were you raised? Where are you now? How much time did you spend in prison and for what offense?
No, I don't know. Some people might wonder if I had. No, I'm kidding. I don't know.
You look like a criminal.
Yeah, okay.
It's just a joke. Just a joke, people. Just a joke. Lighten up.
For anyone that can see this, I'm obviously a redhead, so I'm a Southern Texas girl. So I was born in Houston, Texas, and I moved from Texas in '88 when I was a kid with my parents to Louisiana. I lived in Louisiana to 2007, went north for 10 years with my husband at the time, and then had to move back in 2017 back to Louisiana. Was not what I thought the plan was going to be, but that is what it is, as it may be. And I'm figuring things out living down here again in the South. So, which I love the South. I
don't detect any particular regional dialect though, because you've moved around enough that.
I go to East Texas, and my friends know when I come back. And they're like, "You went to East Texas, didn't you?" I can pick it up quite easily. So yeah.
So you fall back to old habits when you go back to Texas.
Yeah, I do. But I live here with my two kids and doing life, enjoying the summertime, and so.
Yeah, I'm here in Michigan. I'm not fond of the winters, but
I'm not either. That was the one thing I didn't like about up north. I'm too Southern for all that winter crap. I'm like, I can't do this.
Yeah, but I choose to stay. I would prefer to be living in like Vegas. You know, it does get cold. People don't realize if they've never visited Vegas. I used to vacation there a lot.
Right.
It does get cold in the winter. You don't realize, the dry heat matters. And at night, it does get cold when that sun goes down.
Right.
Vegas itself stays a little warmer because it's kind of in a skillet. I always joke they should change the name from Clark County to Skillet County because you got that cook effect from all the surrounding mountains.
They probably can fry an egg or scramble an egg in the concrete like you can in Houston. So
definitely in the summer.
Yeah.
And I've been in Vegas in November. Wonderful, but it gets cool at night. I've been in Vegas in July also, and no relief from the heat except to be in the casinos.
It's hot in Louisiana too, but we have the double whammy of the humidity. That's ridiculous.
Humidity, people don't understand. Michigan has a whole lot of humidity too, because way back when Michigan was mostly swamp, like Florida, parts drained. We drained most of Michigan. We got a bunch of lakes still, so we still have that high humidity. At any rate, let's talk about how you got into TEDxing first. Let's go there.
I wanted to. I heard about it. It was a great way to get social credibility, and I thought that it would be a way to leverage influence and impact, kind of a one and done, but then have a bigger stage to do it in one fell swoop. So I sought it out and went for it.
Yeah, it makes sense. I've not sought to do that. I'm a former IT guy. I could do IT TEDx's.
Yeah.
Also, as an author, one of my books is How to Write a Book and Get It Published, Hints, Tips,
Yeah.
and Techniques to Help Others Write. So I could do a TEDx on that, but I've never gotten around to looking into it. So where did this "we the people are" question come into being?
Well, I'm an author and I have written 14 books and I'm writing one right now and many more to go in my 6 series that I'm building out, including probably 2 more series that'll be added to that. It's what I've always done. It's who I am. It's what I feel drawn to. I I've warned my mother when it comes to politics, she gets blamed for this and she knows it. So I'm not saying anything she hasn't heard.
You're
I
not talking behind her back. She
I'm not.
knows.
Um, I grew up with a mom who watched C-SPAN and Capital Gain and back in the day, and listened to Crossfire and Pat Buchanan and who I forget all the guys were on it. I was a kid; I didn't pay attention back then. And I remember,
Yeah, Alan Keyes, the left winger, and
yeah,
Pat Buchanan, the right wing. Right there, a show on CNN that actually used to have balance then,
yeah,
unlike
I
now.
know,
Yeah.
right. And I remember being in Dallas, summer of '87, and she had to watch the hearings on the Oliver North Contra or whatever it was called, and we
Iran Contra,
yeah,
yes.
couldn't leave the house until she got her fill of the hearing. So, and then when Thomas Clarence was getting his Senate hearing confirmations, I grew up watching her, watching that. And I'm going to tell on myself a little bit. I was a little bit of an odd duck when I was about that same time, actually, probably '86, '87. I'd have to look it up in my book. We were living in Longview. It's the town, on to the east of Dallas on I-20. But um, I think there must have been a Supreme Court case going on that dealt with the scope of whether the right to burn the American flag fell within the scope of the First Amendment right of freedom of speech. Don't even get me started. And I was mad and ticked off, and I had something to say about it. And my mom said, "Well, write an editorial." So I wrote an editorial at 8. I mean, what, who in the hell kid does that? But apparently I do. So politics, apple doesn't fall very far from the tree. In college, I debated between, I was originally in elementary ed. I switched majors, thank God. Thank you, Lord Jesus, for that protection. From the stories that I respect teachers, don't get me wrong, but I hear my friends talk about their teachers.
Wow.
I'm like, yeah, that wasn't going to be for
They're
me.
like in law enforcement, like in IT, like in anything, there's good apples, there's
Oh,
bad
yeah.
apples, right?
And so I switched to liberal arts because the thought process was at the time in the education field that if you want to do secondary, you should get specialized in your content and then not worry about being taught how to taught. You just learn your material. So I went back and forth between history, English, poli-sci. I ended up dropping the poli-sci. So
Actual core curricula, unlike
yeah, right.
today, right?
Yeah, imagine
Yeah,
that.
I call it the new core R's:
Yeah,
radicalism, raunch, and racism through CRT. Reading, writing, arithmetic, history, all the core R's are all out the window. They're
yeah,
peddling Colleen Hoover softcore porn instead of To Kill a
yeah.
Mockingbird to talk
I
about
know.
equality
Yeah,
and the Christian value of not bearing false witness, and all the moral stuff is out, all the immoral stuff is in.
yeah.
Yeah. So
So when I got my master's, I did political science and American government, and I felt like I wanted to write a series about it. I do personally have opinions. I don't know if that's apparent yet. I do have my own opinions and beliefs, but the purpose and I know where I stand and I know what I believe, and I will admit I am on paper a Republican conservative, but that's not necessarily because I always agree with the party. That's just I want to be able to vote
yeah.
in the primaries, because of the way that each law state does their primaries.
I'm with
The
you
whole
there. Exactly.
disease,
I don't wear the red Republican hat always, although I consider
schools,
myself a Republican too.
yeah,
Rhinos and CNOs, conservatives in name only, I oppose every bit as much as
yeah.
I do the commie, fascist, sociocrats left.
But the way our country does primaries is so confusing. I want to be able to vote what I need to vote in, and that's a whole nother part of academia and that I don't really think is something we want to get into the weeds about today. But my point is,
But
above
from all this is where we derived we the people are.
people,
Like
right?
I've got a
So,
petition at change.org. Remember the old contract with America that
oh
was,
yeah,
only
94.
partially implemented. I wrote a new We the People demand list that's available at change.org. All those things we talked about that we've ignored after Clinton Gingrich were out of office, and we've gone back to spendaholics bankrupting our nation again.
Yeah. But so I'm a constitutionalist first and foremost. So the point is, I wanted to write a series explaining what we need to be paying attention to. I don't care whether someone agrees or disagrees with it. If you don't understand the Constitution and the fundamental 3-word expression that is the cornerstone and crux of that whole document and our way of life and our government, we the people, if you can't get that and understand the Constitution, then you don't understand what America is supposed to be about. You don't understand what we're supposed to be protecting and defending. And if we can't understand what we're supposed to protect and defend, then we don't know what we're supposed to be defending, and we will lose it because we don't know
The whole point of this show creation, Constitutionalist, biblical community, free will, charity, choice. We are to want to be our brother's keeper, not worldly bastardization, communism of biblical community where it's by force and theft and at the barrel of the gun. Those are two different things. Jesus was not a socialist communist. He believed in God gave us free will. We are to want to do these things, not be forced to do these things. And the Bible makes the distinction between those who are unable to do things and no obligation to you who are unwilling to bother to do things for yourself.
Right? Yeah. Those are important distinctions. So my point is, I feel like all Americans need to be informed and educated as to what is okay. I'll use this analogy, and I say this a lot. You play a sport. I don't care. Pick one: football, be it soccer, be American football, be basketball, be baseball, hockey. I don't care. You're not, or tennis, or golf, or whatever, or any other ones I can't think of off the top of my head right now. The list is endless. But the point is, volleyball. Let's throw that in there. The point is, in any sport that you play, if you don't understand the rules of that game and you walk onto that field or that court or whatever is the area which you play in, the ice or whatever, the baseball diamond, the football field, if you don't understand the rules of the game of which you are supposed to be playing, you're not going to play it very well, and you're going to have a world of problems, and it's not going to go your way. You're not going to be able to win it. So,
and also, while we're individuals and we try to excel as individuals, short of singles tennis and golf, most games are still a team sport, and you have to learn to work and cooperate together for a collective. But again, that's not communist collectivism. That is personal, individual free will coming together collectively for the benefit of ourselves and others in free choice to do so, not forced to do so.
I wanted to create a series that walk the individuals of our country that individually end up collectively creating the we the people, so that it's not an issue of whether you agree or not. It's an issue of you're informed and understand and educated on what this country is supposed to be, so that you can know how you are to contribute to the collective individually and collectively we the people, so we can preserve, maintain, defend, and protect what we are supposed to have.
Like our founder said, right? We all hang together or we all hang separately. We have to come together as we the people, or but again, by choice and focusing on things we can agree on. People didn't learn the lesson. That's why back to the core arts. They don't want to teach history in school. People don't learn from the Bradford Colony, the Communist Compact. The Mayflower Compact was a Commonwealth, communist, commune compact, and they all almost starved to death because human nature. It fails to take into account human nature, and people will get more and more lazy. And eventually there's not enough people to pull the cart of all the people who are wanting to sit in the cart. They almost all starved to death. Bradford had to pivot from communal property to private property ownership, from collectivist rights to personal individual free will choice, biblical community rights. But we don't teach that. People know, oh, Mayflower Compact? Yeah. It's what America was founded on. No, it's failing is what we were founded on. What Bradford did after it failed is what we're founded on.
So that's how we, the people, are. And I did the question mark so that people would think, okay, what is she going to tell us? What is she going to explain? Let's explore this, because we need to learn and have an understanding and a comprehension of what we need to understand. And even if you want to change the rules, whether you do or don't, you still have to understand the rules in order to know what you may choose to or not choose to the correct way, which is why our founding fathers were wise and smart enough to include, I believe it's Article 5. I get it flip-flop with 7, but I believe it's Article 5. You can look it up. If I messed it up, I apologize. Article 5, to provide the correct, very carefully, wisely, should not be done lightly or willy-nilly all the time, and to be thought through properly through the proper channels that are hard to do, because it shouldn't be changed every other day, a channel and process for doing so when needed. And so
exactly. And the constitutional amendment was made hard for a reason, right? We are a republic, not a mobocracy, not an ineptocracy, not a kleptocracy like the left keeps trying to push on us. We are a republic to make it harder, as you said, so you can't just willy-nilly on a whim change everything overnight. The mobocracy mentality of two wolves and a sheep voting what's for dinner. No, the sheep is protected in a minority status. And when we say minority status, we're not talking skin tone, you morons.
The minority aspect of we the people's voices that can get drowned out by the majority sometimes, or actually the loudest minority that seems like the majority when it's really not, which also can happen. And in
especially given today's social media environment and left-wing media, though the smallest voices appear to be so loud and the majority, and they're not. Like, you know, not to single out any particular organization or grouping, but 1% of society is trying to wag the dog, as the saying goes.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Every life is a story. Some just end too soon. Ryan's life unfolds through words on paper, dreams of youth, love discovered, and the challenges of growing up. He found purpose in love, joy in family, and meaning in every small moment. But even the strongest hearts can break, and sometimes life takes unexpected turns. Through laughter and loss, Ryan leaves behind something greater than memories, a lasting legacy. A short story, A Lasting Legacy, by Joseph M. Leonard. A moving reflection on life, love, and the stories we leave behind. Available on Amazon in ebook, paperback, and hardcover editions. By Joseph M. Leonard.
Yep. So that's how I've created the series, and I'm in the middle. Well, I was in the middle of writing book 2, which is straight up constitutional, and I'll get back to that later this year.
I like you, and I take back you look like a criminal, but it's clear there's a whole lot of people on the left who would like to lock you up as a criminal, and me in the cell next to you, because we talk biblical Judeo-Christian ethos foundations of our nation's truths. The Magna Carta before that, if you don't want to be religious, right? We are an evolution of a system of governance never before seen on this planet. And as Reagan says, if we lose it here, it's gone again forever. We're back to the tyranny of kings or fascists or socialists or communists who want their minority controlling the majority, pretending it's a democracy by lying to people and fooling and tricking people into voting for their own tyrannical underpinnings, underminings.
I mean, you're not wrong, because we've seen over, arguably, at least since probably, I don't know if it went far back as 2008, but at least starting in 2012 and 16, I would argue this whole movement of wanting to, what's the word I'm looking for? Criticize and bully and discriminate against and have horrible names called for the conservative right, with being the deplorables, the
self-censorship, right? They can't. I have, and I'll try to remember to put up
party, the teabag party.
I'll try to remember to put up
the teabag party, and so we've seen these cycles of them villainizing and demonizing. So you're not wrong in them wanting to censor and silence.
Exactly, and it's twisting and warping of language. I have several pieces I've written on that. Right? They cannot win an argument telling you what they really truly want to do, what they really truly believe. They have to lie about it, right? As Barnum said, a sucker born every minute. They fool people into voting for their own chains.
Yeah, agreed. You see it all the time in many different ways. There's a lot of examples of that.
Yeah, I knew immediately when I saw We the People Are that we were, because I don't demand people be of absolute like mind on this show. I've had atheists on my Christian show. I've had communists on my pro-constitutionalist show. You have a right to your opinion. You don't have a right to your own set of facts, however. And right, if you're being honest about what you're wanting and saying you're going to do, okay, you can have that opinion. You don't get to base your opinion on delusion.
Well, I agree with you, because another thing that's gotten lost, I would say, in more recent years in the great experiment of our country and the political system and the formula which we live under, because it is still a great experiment. And that actually takes me back to another point you were talking about. People have debated the issue as to whether the Constitution is a living or a dead document. It's very much living, because it is evolving. It can it has the ability.
It allows amendments, so it is living in that sense. It is not living in the sense that you get to promote the general welfare and warp it into individual welfare checks. That's not what it was intended. That's warping and twisting what they meant. It's not living in that sense.
But it's living in the sense that it has the option to be
amended, yes,
and keep up with current society that long has thankfully surpassed and
like slavery, right? Frederick Douglass.
New issues.
A lot of leftists like to quote an old Frederick Douglass paper about once a slave, always a slave. That was when he was dumb. By his own admission, he was ignorant. When he educated himself, he became a Republican who loved when he understood what the 3/5 clause was really about. Limiting power of slaveholders, not promoting it and helping keep it, because slavery was going to end here eventually. But the great compromise of the Constitution, only way to do it was to allow some slavery for a while, and the 3/5 clause to limit the power of slaveholders, not embolden them. But again, from that standpoint, yes, a living document, and hence the Republican amendments, 13th, 14th, and 15th, following the Civil War, freeing the slave and giving more people the right to vote.
That's right. And I like that the fact that you do what you do, because, and this is going to be odd, maybe what I bring up next is part of the biggest thing that makes America great that we have often forgotten in current times in American and political debate is we are supposed to be a dialogue. We are supposed to be in a society that can share and talk about ideas, the back and forth in a banter or in a discussion forum. And so some of my favorite things, I don't know if anybody will remember this in the audience. So you having on different guests of opposing views, that's supposed to be what we do. That's how we came up with the agreements, the compromises, because we talked about the ideals, we hashed them out. We came up with solutions because we wanted to do the best solution, and that can only come from debate and discussion and discourse and dialogue and conversations and have a forum for that. So
but today's modern left wants to shut down speech and that continual twisting and warping of language so they can lie about what their real intentions are.
Make their agenda go through without much opposition or
Yeah, we're supposed to be about speech. It's why it's the First Amendment, but it's why the second is there to back up the first.
Exactly. Thank you. So I've always appreciated forums such as this, or I do watch a lot of news, but some of my favorite ways to digest the news of the day is back in the day. I don't necessarily always agree with him because he is more liberal, although it could probably be said of him he is probably a FDR crap more than anything, especially in his older age, is Bill Maher. I'm not saying I agree with Bill Maher. What I'm saying is he had a show on ABC back in the day called
Politically Incorrect.
But what I appreciated and respected him for doing is he provided a stage, a place of discussion, a forum to dialogue and debate, hash out the issues, just like on the other side of the spectrum now, when you go to Fox, and I don't get to watch it every day, and I tend to tune in more when things are happening, like during the election, because I am a busy person and I have lots of aspects of my life. But if it was up to me, I would watch it every day. The Five, they have a panel discussion where they get hashed.
The only shows I watch on Fox are The Five, and Gutfeld.
Right.
Because there's balance on those programs. The comedians on late night TV, what's his face? Colbert is getting canceled, is because it's all one-sided drivel. Gutfeld, they're mainly right-wing panelists, but they make fun. They make fun at the right. Also, at all the Chris Christie jokes endlessly, right, about his weight, as well as Jumbo Fatsker. But they'll make fun of both sides. Whereas the other late night show hosts won't do that. And I don't watch the Fox News programs. I watch OAN and sometimes Newsmax, but Newsmax has also got some people with TDS there. I want some fairness and balance. I want to explain both sides and why this side, I don't care what your intentions are. I don't give a damn. Shut up, show, don't tell, right? You shall be known by your fruits. You could tell me all day your intentions are to help poor people, but when your policy on the left always hurts poor people the most while trying to steal money to give to poor people from people who are successful, your policies are failure. I don't care what you say. I care what you've done.
Absolutely. So actually, I support any opportunity that allows for a forum for balanced debate and discussion and exchange of ideas. But actually, when you create, I'm getting tongue-tied. I'm sorry. I promise I can talk. Frederick Douglass's "Once a slave, always a slave," while he changed his position, I almost wonder, I'm maybe not reading the whole context of that statement, so I don't want to take it out of context. It actually may have been somewhat prophetic and apropos in the future without him knowing it, because in some ways, some aspects of our culture maybe not in literal slavery, but in metaphorical slavery, they have found themselves still in chains of the policies of which, like you said, they're the policy
Voting for our own chains. Yes.
right. So
Yeah.
maybe
So in a way, you are correct. What
and I mean no
Frederick
harm by that,
Douglass
and I'm not
wrote?
trying to
No, you're
insult,
absolutely right.
but
What Douglass wrote made sense in a different meaning than what he was
right.
portraying he was indeed genius in that. But again, the whole point is the left want to take the one piece out of complete context, refusing to talk about his corrections to what he wrote prior. They want to ignore all that.
So there is something to be said about the metaphorical and the
Yes.
modern day version of, well, yes, we literally don't have that as an aspect of our society, but there are things, and it could be argued that even sometimes in our Christian lives, that if we're still,
Heck, look
it's-
at taxation. We're
yeah,
slaves to the state in that sense. We constantly working and giving how much being stolen from our wealth to redistribute to others. So yes, in that metaphorical, or as I like to say, I'm far too clever for metaphors. I use meta sixes, but I'm pumped, right?
yeah,
But yeah, in that metaphorical state, absolutely it applies. A more modern, different kind of chains, but we still have them. And a lot of people want to vote for their own chains. Well, time flew by.
yes,
Do
it did.
do you have a website we could drive people to?
I feel like we could have conversations for hours on
Oh,
many different
it's
topics.
true
Like,
with all my guests. We could talk for
you can
3
scratch
hours,
the
3
surface.
days,
Yeah.
3 weeks, 3 months.
But
Then
all
no
of
one would tune in.
right? But I would love to continue the conversation if that ever is opportunity for such. This has been great, and I've been grateful to be here and appreciate it. But yes, all
Yeah.
of my books are on Amazon. So
Oh, okay. So mainly people should look for your books via Amazon. You don't have a
I do,
Michaela Cox.info or
I do, but right now there seems to be technical issues with it that I haven't figured out yet. So I've had so much on my plate I haven't addressed yet, so I don't want to send people to it currently until I get it resolved. But for
I
right now, it's
understand.
just
Yes.
Amazon. But as soon as it's up and running, I will be directing people
Yeah.
back to that.
Yeah. 80% of all books nowadays are basically sold through Amazon. Whether
I'm
you
hoping
like
to find
Bezos or
out,
not. Yeah,
right.
Bezos is an asshole and he's got far too much
Mhm.
money. But
Yeah.
that's where most books are sold. That's where you got to have your books.
I hope to expand into what's called in the publishing world expanded distribution outside of the Amazon bubble at some point, but I have to learn another website to do that I hope to be working on later this year. But right now, that's where it's at, and I'll keep doing the next thing and try and grow it. So anyway,
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Michaela Cox. I didn't say your name enough. Of course, in the final version of the video, for those looking on BitChute, Brighteon, Dailymotion in France, Rumble, or YouTube, I do broadcast behind the scenes video on those 5 platforms. Your name will scroll on the bottom. And it's carried mostly, though, on 25 plus audio platforms. So when the show airs, I can't promise when it will. I will, of course, reach out so you could share it across your social media and all that.
well, thank you so much for a delightful exchange of ideas.
Yeah, it was a great discussion. I loved it. Yeah, we could go hours, but I
Yes.
call it today's Twitter attention span. Everybody wants the cliff notes,
Yep.
right? Just even though the headline 9 times out of 10 is misleading, if details matter. Ninth paragraph in the story, they basically tell you that headline was complete manure to mislead you because people won't read the details.
Yep.
Thank you again, Michaela Cox. Take care. God bless.
Great. Bye-bye.
Like, and subscribe to Constitutionalist Politics Podcast and share episodes. We need your help. Thank you for having tuned into another Constitutionalist Podcast show. I really appreciate that you stopped by. Again, please like, share, subscribe. We need you to help spread the Constitutionalist movement. Thank you again. Take care. God bless. Love you all.
Wham Radio, 1600 AM and 92.7 FM is your conservative flamethrower. Weekdays, Steve Gruber starts things off at 6 a.m. Gruber gives his perspective on the issues of the day. At 9 a.m., Glenn Beck blazes the airwaves with his nationally syndicated program. From noon to 3, it's Dennis Prager. At 3 o'clock, it's Wham's own Thayrone X. On the Edge, Thayrone tells it exactly as he sees it. At 6, it's The Dana Show, your conservative alternative. At 8, don't miss Joe Pags. Weekends are filled with conservative talk as well. Fingers Malloy, Thomas LeDuc, The Abolitionists Roundtable, A Moment of Clarity with Pastor Rick, Your American Heritage with Ed Bondarenka, Dave Janda's Operation Freedom, and Dick Kupke's Trigger Talk. You can even get links to Wham podcasts from Dave, Dick, and of course Thayrone, all from their pages on our website, whamradio.com. Keep it locked on Wham Radio, 1600 AM and 92.7 FM in southeastern Michigan, and whamradio.com anywhere in the world.